Hey YouTube, in front of the camera here I have the new for 2017 Kershaw Natrix. This is model number 7007, based off of the Zero Tolerance limited edition 777 design. This is the budget friendly offering from Kershaw out of China. So it's Chinese produced, and we have HCR13 MOV steel, speed safe deployment instead of KVT, ball bearing system, and because we're talking about all this, we're also talking about a very reasonable price of $37. So for a little under $40, you get something that resembles the very sought after 777 design by Zero Tolerance, but in a very budget friendly offering. And I think this is going to be very popular in Kershaw's line. It's, I believe, already been sold out most online retailers. I'm sure it'll get stock in this again as well. But yeah, very popular. There's some controversy behind the 777 model with Zero Tolerance and Microtech, but I'm not going to get into any of that here. If you want to, I'm sure you can find videos online as well as anything posted on the internet about that dispute between Kershaw and or Kai, Zero Tolerance, and Microtech. But let's just get into this blade. So, based on the 777 design and very, very similar in design aesthetics. So, you know, when you look at this next to a 777. I don't have a 777. Don't think I ever will, because secondary prices on those are very expensive, and also you can't swap the clip over on a 777 for left-handed carry. So even though it's a really nice blade, it does not work for left-handed individuals like myself. But however, the design looks very similar to the 777. You know, not as nice materials, but it still has that overall design aesthetic. So, and it has a subframe lock, and that's what makes it so special. So it's got that fuller in the blade, similar to the 777. That kind of sheepsfoot Wharncliffe-like style blade that's very similar to the 777 as well, which is also very similar to the 0770 by Zero Tolerance, which was came out after the limited production 777. Stonewash finish on that blade. We have about 3.25 inches of cutting length, so it's very similar to the 0770. Not as big as the 777 was. I think that was about a 3.7, 3.8 inch blade. Flat ground, nicely flat ground blade. Look here overhead. So it looks a bit. Looks a bit uneven right there, but this is, again, a $37 knife coming out of China. The fuller's very attractive. I think you'll either like or hate that, but I like it. Pivot, very similar to the 777 and also the 770 series by Zero Tolerance, except we have a hexagonal shape on the lock side here, which I think is one of my preferred methods because that locks it in, so it's not a free spinning pivot. You have phosphor bronze washers in between the pivot, and you also have the torsion bar underneath the scale for the speed safe assisted opening mechanism. Going over the markings on the blade, of course we have Kershaw here. There you go. Kershaw here with speed safe written underneath. Other side of the blade we have the model number, which is the 777, Kai patented, and HCR13 MOV for the steel. Really small in the corner here by the flipper tab, it's written China. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but it is a Chinese produced knife. No blade play with this. Knife is decently centered, especially for a budget offering. G10 handle scales. This is not as premium G10, I would say, as other models that you would get, especially on a higher end, maybe zero tolerance or even a Benchmade. But so it's a cheaper G10 coming out of China, but it actually is still really nice. You have that nice backspacer as well that mimics the 777 and 070 series. Not exactly the same, but yeah, it's got that same kind of design. So nice look. Nice work with the G10 here. The original 777 was carbon fiber. Of course, you're not going to get that at this price, but it's still nicely done. It's not perfect. It's a little bit rough in some parts, but then again, this is a Chinese-produced Kershaw. We have to always remember that. A really, really light knife. Getting into that real quick, because you have the subframe lock, you don't have a full lock face on the locking side, and it's not a liner lock, so you get kind of the best of both worlds there of the lightweightness of having kind of a liner lock and then also having a frame lock, so the locking interface is a little bit thicker. But this comes in light because of that design with the subframe lock. Let's see. Comes in at 2.89 ounces, so under 3 ounces for an over 3-inch cutting blade. Compare that to 0770 carbon fiber. That's even a little bit heavier at 3.17 ounces. And how does it compare to another kind of subframe lock USA Kershaw Knockout, which also has that kind of subframe lock but with aluminum handles? That's at 3.84 ounces. So yeah, it's lighter than all of these knives with a similar blade length. Yeah, overall, I think that this is going to be a great seller for Kershaw because it's attractive, based on a model that a lot of people really liked, but either they couldn't afford it, couldn't find it. Secondary prices on these are much more. I think the original 777s were, I think, close to $500, but they'll go in the secondary market for $800 to $1,000 just because of how rare they are. So yeah, no play in this blade. The subframe lock works well. There's actually some little details on that subframe lock as well, which is pretty neat that you're getting this in a $37 knife. It's a little cutout in there that kind of mimics the 777 design as well. So really neat. You don't always get these kind of details on a very budget-friendly model, which is nice that Kershaw offers this. Pocket clip is reversible tip up left and right. It's a deep carry clip. It works pretty good. Probably not my favorite clip out there, but it works well. Secures with 2 screws. Oh, I can't get that to focus on, but it does have a Kershaw logo on the pocket clip, which is kind of redundant considering they put it on the blade as well, but Kershaw and Zero Tolerance does that a lot. So let's talk about the subframe lock. Now, as you can see, we have something that looks like a frame lock, but it only is on this part of the locking side of the frame, as opposed to a normal frame lock where the whole side is either steel or titanium. This is the only part that's steel on this, which helps reduce the weight. And the way it secures in is the 3 screws here actually secure the lock into the G10 handle. So that's what makes it a subframe lock. And the way this knife ships is the clip is on the right hand side, and the 2 pocket clip screws actually also go into that subframe lock. So this is really only being held in by these 3 screws for the subframe lock now that I switched it over to the left hand side, but I think it will be fine. I don't think it needs those extra 2 screws to be secure. But just for reference, those 2 screws actually do go into the subframe when you swap it over. So I have the screws here for left hand carry, which is good. It's good for lefties if you want a knife that you can carry on the left hand side. It's very similar to when you have a Kershaw knockout. You swap the clip over to the left-hand side, and the two screws that hold in that subframe lock that are normally covered up by the pocket clip are now exposed. So it's draws away from the aesthetics a little bit, which is kind of what you kind of have to sacrifice if you want to carry this left-handed. So it looks kind of strange with those screws on that side, but I don't think it's a huge deal. So that subframe lock is very light. Ergonomically, pretty ergonomic knife. A little bit of jimping here at the top. The spine, not high traction, but this is more of an EDC knife anyway. It looks great. Compared to a 0770 CF, very close in size. And the 770 CF was meant to have a lot of the looks of the 777, but of course you don't have that fuller, you don't have those contoured handles. The pocket clip design is a little different. And it's also a liner lock, and these came in carbon fiber and aluminum handles. So this has the subframe lock, which was very popular with the 777. Really cool looking knife. I think this will sell well for Kershaw. I mean, it already has. It's going to come out in different colors. They were announced at Blade Show of 2017. So we're going to have OD green, I think orange, I think brown as well. G10 handles, and I think some of them come with the black finished black wash blade as well. So we'll have a few different options out there on the market eventually. And this will sell well for Kershaw, and already has, just because it is a very aesthetically pleasing design and it's a very good price. Now I know that a lot of people would like an upgraded version of this, like have better materials, better steel, and a USA made blade, kind of like a Kershaw knockout where you're paying about $30 more for the Kershaw, but you're getting better steel and USA made, and you know, these nice aluminum handles. However, I will say this. Although people will probably talk about that they want that in, you know, online and just comment that that's what they want to see, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. And this is just my theory of why. They had the 777 by Zero Tolerance design, which was their very limited model. Then they came out with the 770 carbon fiber, and as well they also had the aluminum version, and that was retailing around, I think, $160 to $180. So that's kind of their more readily available, you know, normal production run of that kind of design with the 0770. And now they're coming out with this Kershaw Natrix, which is a very budget-friendly model. So I don't know if there's, you know, there might be people who want that more upgraded version of the Natrix out there. But unfortunately, I don't think that there's enough people out there that Kershaw would do this. If you realize that Kershaw makes a majority of their profits off of a lot of budget blades. These are ones that you see in different retail locations such as Walmart and whatnot. Kershaw makes a lot of money on those budget blades, and if they sell something even up in the realms of, you know, $70, $80, like the Kershaw Knockout, there'll be people who buy this, and there are enough knife collectors out there that do buy this. However, you won't sell as many as if you make a budget blade such as this, where someone will walk into a Walmart or whatnot and see that neat design and be like, hey, you know, under $40, I'll buy it. And that's kind of just how it is. Yes, there's a lot of knife collectors out there that really, really love, you know, upgraded designs, but it's not the majority. It's not the majority of people who are buying. I mean, the majority of collectors, yeah, they like those designs, but the majority of people who will go out to a store and buy a knife, just your average person who doesn't know a lot about knives, is more likely to buy something in the $37 range versus the $70, $80 range, or even $160, $180 range. So I could be wrong. They might come up with an upgraded version of this, but my thinking right now is they basically have 3 different knives that have been produced that are very similar in design, from the 777, 0770, and now the Kershaw Natrix model number 7007. So they've kind of had all these nice in-house designs from Kai USA, and their Chinese produced Kershaw here. And so I think that this is probably what we'll see, and we'll have different coloration of the handles because this is already selling well, and to put different colorations of the G10 handles doesn't really, I think, set much cost back to them, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people out there who want it. So if you want this, you have to go look for different retailers right now because a lot of them have been sold out, but I'm sure they will be back in stock very shortly because they'll probably be making this for a while. And if you want a different color, like the, I think, orange G10 OD or brown, that should be out soon. That wasn't announced when it will be out, but I'm sure if you're patient enough, you will find that. You know, probably won't get a ton of carry time just because I do have more expensive knives like zero tolerances. But this is pretty cool. I've always admired the 777 design, and I'm glad I can have something that is very close in resemblance to it. That is also not a clone, made from the actual company, Kai's company, instead of a fake clone or counterfeit. So it's nice that you are supporting the company that originally designed the blade. So there it is, Kershaw Natrix, model number 7007. Really cool looking knife. As always, if you have any questions, any comments, leave them down below. Like and subscribe for any more videos. And thanks for watching.